preventing the severe side effects of that continued exposure to the glare that is coming out of your screen. Lapia.ke have some tips to offer to you, and also how you can get some special eyewear to protect you from that kind of glare, which is harmful, of course, to your eyes. We're trying to protect our eyes and make sure that we are doing that at a very affordable cost. So guys from Lapia will be here. Eyesight, eye care, and technology is a conversation that we are about to have. And the conversation on climate, the effects of the climate and climate change. Of course, that is something that is has been a very big conversation. COP26 just concluded last year, where Kenya was also part of it, and this year we're going to Egypt, called COP27. So if you want to be part of that, ensure you're gearing up for that. But this morning I'm going to be discussing nature-based solutions that we can use in this time of trying to navigate around the issues of climate change. So an organization known as We Don't Have Time. We don't have time. We really don't have time to save the planet, but the little that we have is what we are trying to get here from the director, Mr. Patrick Kiarie, and also the field officer, Sheila Nduta, watakuwa hapa hivi from We Don't Have Time to hear what exactly are we going to do with the little time we have left to save the few things around us that can help us turn around this situation on climate change and its adverse effects. Much more is happening on the dailies here. Effects of fuel increase, 150 per litre for petroleum on almost all the petrol stations that I have seen. However, the government, I have seen as well, is trying to subsidize kerosene, which is a very common commodity in households. 1.7 million households use kerosene as a part of their day-to-day cooking and other needs in the households. So the Kenyan government is trying to subsidize that to as much as 50 Kenyan shillings per litre. So that is exciting news that you have to be gearing up for. I'll be giving much more information on it as we go on with the show, and what can be done to cushion, of course, the other road users who are depending on that petrol, whose prices are currently skyrocketing. The Africa Coffee Summit is to be held in Nairobi, and it's going to be the first G25 Africa Coffee Summit. It's going to be held in Nairobi starting tomorrow. So you need to be geared up for that, even as fertilizer prices go up and prices of coffee and tea are affected adversely. How can the government use this opportunity of hosting the Africa Coffee Summit in Nairobi to turn around the situation for farmers? Lots of farmers who are currently affected by the rise in fertilizer prices, which is of course also an effect of that ongoing Ukraine-Russia crisis. So many effects, so many factors, so many challenges, and so many items which are all tied in how you're making money this week and into the coming few weeks. So make sure you are tuned into this show. You don't miss any bits of those tips, and you will have to walk carefully into the next few weeks to tujue vile tutatengeneza pesa nini na mambo kama hayo, right? Ensure you're tuning in for that. So, and I'll be looking at the roads courtesy of Mastery Route, to inform Pole to how you're going to work, what kind of alternative routes you can use this morning to go to work. Watu Expressway, how has it been the past 2 weeks or 1 week or so that you've been using it? Give me your feedback if you tried it out. If you haven't, also give me the reason that you haven't. However, most importantly, tell me what the roads look like this morning across Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mombasa, wherever you're watching us from. We'd love to know, and also the alternative routes. I'm giving them to you right about now, so don't go too far. Biashara Tuesday just began. The hashtag Biashara Tuesday, tell me what your roads are looking like, and I'll be taking a look at that and retweeting the most interesting takes that I get here from the roads. Wacha tuangalie, right? The first update I'm receiving, of course, here is from Thika Road. Now nasema if you're heading to town, it doesn't look so good. If you're approaching town from Ngara, hiyo ni kama kawaida. I think we need a solution, especially on that. I've spoken about Globe Roundabout for quite some time. Koja, hapo inakuwa shida sana. If we can get more suggestions on the alternative routes, watu wengine mtuambie. Please clarify whether the service lane along Thika Road is a one-way or two-way traffic roads. It's clear. It's really not clear sometimes. So apparently some parts of Thika Road are not well marked, or there's not enough information on whether they are one ways or two ways on the service lane. I know few of the spots in Juja or Kimbo or Ruiru are not two-way, but if you know parts which are two-way, and the relevant authorities, of course, Kenya, when Thika Road was designed, population predictions were fair. However, Thika Road has created a population boom that was not anticipated. That is why it has been redesigned. It has to be redesigned every few years, and that's actually a take that is something I can also support. Gashanja Shega anasema Thika Road has been undergoing redesigns for the past few years, or since its launch. Of course, that population boom is not something we can disagree with. Gashanja, any other updates here I'm receiving on the road? Juja Road naambia kumeshikana sana if you're heading out that way. Outer Ring Road, extortion of businesses and matatus are making Outer Ring Road hell. So I'd love to know what kind of extortion is happening on Outer Ring Road, but the matatus I hear are creating such a tough time for the guys over at the Outer Ring Road. Good morning, Nairobians. Let's engage on this elephant called the Nairobi Expressway. What are the reasons why it won't get the support from the majority of the struggling Kenyans? Remember, I am still taking your views on what you feel about the Nairobi Expressway. If you've used it, if you haven't, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the toll fee that is being charged to use the expressway, and the unexpected traffic that was seen last week through a highway, an expressway that is supposed to ease the traffic situation in Nairobi. Limuru Road kumeshikana pia. Can someone update me on my Mahi, please? Eric Mboko Pale also requesting not much information coming out of your roads this morning. So it looks like ni kuzuri sana watu wa Mombasa Road. Naambia mlijengea expressway. Is it better now? _Kenya or Kenya at KUTV Kenya. I'll be looking at that as we go on with the show. But right about now, let's have a look at what has happened in your world in the past 24 hours from last night's bulletin, and also informs us locally and also internationally how that is going to affect business. So don't go too far. News updates coming to you right about now on KUTV Rise Today. Biashara Tuesday, hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Remember to tell us what you want the government to do for you. I am putting here on the spot the Colonel, retired Cyrus Oguna, the government of Kenya spokesperson. He'll be joining me in a few in studio, of course, to answer our questions live on what kind of development agendas or development policies the government has been putting in place for the youth. So kama wewe ni youth pale mtaani na umerelax unaangalia Biashara Tuesday, what do you want the government to focus on that is affecting you individually? Wewe personally, naongea naye right about now. Tell me on social media, on the SMS/WhatsApp numbers, uniambie what you think the government should be doing in improving your situation. Is it unemployment? Is it housing, the Big Four agenda? Is it healthcare? Do you feel like there should be more done towards, of course, ensuring you're getting better access to healthcare facilities? Is it matters of education? HELB loan, do you want that scrapped? Do you want it to be a grant? Do you want low interest rates on that HELB loan that is offered to university students? What kind of situation are you facing right at the moment, and how the government can come in? Remember to tell us that, and I'll be forwarding those questions as you send them to the Colonel, retired Cyrus Oguna. And of course, also joining me here this morning, I'd said earlier on, is guys from Lapia KE, or Lapia East Africa, and the expansion manager for Lapia in East Africa, Roslyn Kilonzo, is here on set as well right after that to tell me on matters of eyesight, eye care and technology. How can we coexist well as we're trying to work from home? Wale watu ambao wana work from home and also are able to watch the show. I know you're gearing up to power up your laptop or your workstation. However, the glare from your screen, how are you protecting yourself from that, and what kind of measures can you take before things get worse for you? So any questions that you have also on eye care, I'll be taking them on social media and also on the SMS platforms. So remember to share that with me. However, right about now, before we get back to matters of Biashara and business on Biashara Tuesday, we'll be taking a look at what has happened in your world in the past 24 hours. The news updates are coming to you right about now. So let me get that and then bring them to you in a second. All right, and now this is what is coming out of your world for the past 24 hours on KUTV Rise Today News Updates. The suspected mastermind in the murder of Samuel Mugota in Nairobi's Mirema Drive surrendered himself to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, yesterday. The man, identified as Dennis Gashoki Karani, claimed he was innocent, saying he is being framed for that murder.
Just a week after the murder of the controversial businessman Samuel Mugota Muvota along the Mirema Drive in Nairobi, the story became an online sensation, eliciting mixed reactions from Kenyans. The hawk shows from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, DCI, launched a manhunt of the suspected killer with a notice terming him as an armed and dangerous man in possession of a firearm that was snatched from a stupefied police officer. The prime suspect of the murder ordeal, Dennis Gashoki Karani, today surrendered himself to the DC headquarters accompanied by his lawyer Samuel Thuku, where he denied the killing claims. Mr. Karani said he was being framed for the murder, saying that he only met Samuel Mugota twice in Nairobi and Meru. The murder of Samuel Mugota brought to light a lot of communal ills that were happening behind the curtains of the public eye. The DCI stated on social media that Mugota was a mastermind of swim swapping and bank fraud. It was further revealed that Mugota had been arrested and secured release under unclear circumstances in 30 different occasions. The records from the investigative agency paint the picture of Mugota as a man who loved women and used them to get his wealth from unsuspecting revelers. It stated that the man had recruited over 50 women who he deployed in major cities to steal from revelers, patronizing popular entertainment spots. The women would stupefy and steal their victims' ATM cards, national identity cards and mobile phones, which would facilitate the fraud, making Mugota a rogue millionaire. The late Mugota had reportedly dropped a friend at Mirema Drive when his assailant, who was trailing him on another vehicle, shot him 6 times at a close range. His body was taken to Montezuma Mona Lisa Funeral Home in Kabati, Murang'a County, awaiting burial at his ancestral home in Laikipia East next week.
Moving on to matters of elections, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission yesterday held a meeting at the Bomas of Kenya with the presidential aspirants' representatives to clarify legal requirements for candidate registration. Kenya Kwanza's William Ruto and Azimio One Kenya's Raila Amolo Odinga were represented at the meeting.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC today held a pre-candidate registration meeting for the presidential aspirants hosted by its chairman Wafula Chebukati to clarify legal requirements for candidate registration. The requirements by the IEBC from presidential aspirants include university degree from a recognized institution. Party aspirants vying under political parties should have a nomination certificate, duly filled statutory Form 12, a proposer and a seconder, hard and soft copy of passport-size photographs, self-declaration form, electronic and physical form of at least 48,000 supporters, copies of supporters' identity cards. One must maintain a functioning office, nomination fee of 200,000 Kenyan shillings and 100,000 Kenyan shillings for women and people living with disabilities, and a campaign schedule. IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati said there will not be any extension of election timelines and urged aspirants to comply. He further said that our university degrees are a compulsory requirement and those with foreign degrees to be certified by the Commission for University Education. Chebukati revealed 11 independent candidates had not presented names of their respective running mates and called upon those campaigning to restrain themselves until the official campaign period begins on the 29th of May to the 6th of August. Imbinda Masi, KUTV.
All right, maybe before I move from that particular story, political parties sponsored candidates. I'm looking at a list here. Inakaa kuna watu kadhaa wameweka multi-bets, yeah? I see here Mudavadi Wycliffe Musalia of the Amani National Congress has not submitted the name for a deputy presidential nominee, and I'm also seeing a couple of guys there who were supposed to have already selected the deputy presidential nominee, not having done that in spite of them saying they're presidential candidates. I don't know what direction that's going to head to, but we'll be following up on that and updating you on matters of the presidential election that is, or the general election that is coming up on the August of 9th. So that's what's happening. IEBC and legal requirements for presidential candidates, a meeting that was held yesterday at the Bomas of Kenya. Now, moving on from that particular story, of course, we'll be taking a look at also what is happening in all the camps. Kalonzo's Camp 6, a super deal with Azimio La Umoja, even after 1 week's turnaround of events where he moved on from the Azimio team to launch his own presidential bid. And now Wiper Party aspirants have voted for Kalonzo return to Azimio 1 Kenya. During a meeting yesterday, 40 out of 45 of some professionals and clerics from Ukambani have urged Kalonzo Musyoka to reconsider his decision to run for president and instead engage with the Azimio 1 Kenya coalition.
Community is quite. Wiper Party is in consultation to offer a final statement on the way forward to joining Azimio, which will only happen under structured dialogue.
We had already agreed to work under the Azimio 1 Kenya Alliance, that maybe it is time that we exhaust all the options that were available under the Azimio 1 Kenya Alliance, because there is a dispute resolution mechanism under that alliance.
Addressing the media at Sitoni Adi in Machakos County, the party Secretary General Robert Mbui says the only reason why Kalonzo decided to run for presidency is that they had realized that the process in which Azimio was picking their running mate was opaque.
That we all know that the position of president and deputy are off the table under Azimio 1 Kenya Alliance. That we are aware. But what we are saying is that there could be other ways by which this party can participate fully in government, even outside those two positions. That is what we want to know. What is in need for Wiper Democratic Movement? Not our party leader, and I want that to be clear, because people have made it look like it's a Kalonzo issue. It is not.
According to Mbui, they are still weighing their opinions, but should the offer table before them by the coalition party turn out to be dismal, they are willing to support Kalonzo to be the 5th president of Kenya.
We have our options. One of the options, you are aware, is that we have already fielded our party leader as a candidate in the next election. At the same time, we also do realize that there were some offers that may not have been given to us in good time. And so they were mentioned on the day that our party leader was also unveiling his candidate, because we had disagreed on the way forward.
Ukambani leaders led by Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu and Makuenis Kivuda Kibwana, while in Machakos last week, pleaded with the Kalonzo to join and accept the offer given to him by Odinga if he forms the next government.
For the third time, unconditionally, that was the one. Hakusema, lakini nikusupport, nipatie hii na hii na hii.
Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka akienda agombee kiti peke yake, hizo kura ni za kuharibu, si kura za kushinda awe rais wa Kenya.
During the unveiling of Odinga's running mate last week KICC in Nairobi, Kalonzo skipped the event and instead held a parallel event claiming he had been shortchanged in the running mate position.
I mean, for how long do people expect one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka to be the one always to sacrifice? And that after sacrificing, they mess up the country.
In a statement read on their behalf by Ben Mongela, Wiper Party aspirant said the Wiper lead stands best chances while in Azimio. Kalonzo, who is outside the country, is expected back mid this week when he is expected to announce his final stand. Morgan Okero, reporting for KUTV.
All right, so that story is also spread out here on the dailies this morning, page 6, 7, and 8, where Wiper Party or changes on their tune, as that is like a few days. May 16th was when Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka announced his decision to go this journey alone. However, party aspirants are voting for him to go back, so I don't know how that is going to happen. However, after the Azimio campaign rallies in Narok, Raila and the Azimio leaders met campaign delegates in Nairobi yesterday. Raila, through his Twitter account, said, and quote, "We spent part of this morning at a focused meeting with some of our lead campaigners. The objective is known, the target is set, and the timelines are rolling. We shall do this for our nation's future," end of quote. The Azimio Brigade is set to continue with its rallies in the western regions as from today. Still in matters of politics, the Kenya Kwanza coalition held campaigns in Kiambu and Murang'a counties, where they highlighted corruption as a major problem in the country. Ruto outlined the steps he will take to fight corruption in the event he is elected president in this August 9th general elections.
Kenya Kwanza coalition flag-bearer Deputy President William Ruto said integrity was an important virtue that every politician was supposed to have. He added that he would fight corruption in the event that he is elected president in the August polls through allocating a budget to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, and the Office of the Inspector General. He said the initiative would enable those institutions conduct their activities with ease.
The most effective way to fight corruption, wastage, and theft is to ensure that we arm the institutions that fight corruption and wastage with enough hardware, software, resources, and eliminate interference.
Deputy President William Ruto challenged his rivals to unveil the criteria they would use to fight corruption in case they are elected in office.
Our judiciary will have their own funds because we will operationalize the judiciary fund, give it sufficient resources so that they can have enough men and women to discharge their responsibility of making sure that criminals and all other people are behind bars because they have what it takes. That is giving our judiciary the financial muscle.
On the other hand, Ford Kenya leader Moses Wetangula and Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi revealed that the vice was witnessed in the Jubilee government mainly through a word of fake tenders.
Kwa sababu watu wanaenda kwa maofisi ya serikali kujifanyia kazi badala ya kufanyia wananchi wa Kenya kazi.
Gatundu Member of Parliament Moses Kuria echoed their sentiments, stating some programs he believed were accompanied by a lot of corruption.
Na mzungu alisema where there is a will there is a way. Si ni kweli? So ni kazi yetu sisi wao wengine viongozi. Tuchukue hii maneno, we devolve them now. Isikuwe ni wao watu wako hapa.
Promises to tackle graft, which has been a major plague in the country, also dominated the Kenya Kwanza campaigns in Murang'a County, where the outfit made a halt to the day-long campaign run. With only 77 days left to the general elections, various leaders seeking political seats have continued to campaign to increase their popularity and asked for votes. Kevin Omondi, reporting for KUTV.
All right, so here on the Business Daily as well, on page 6, there is a story on the disquiet that is happening over at the Kenya Kwanza camp, where Ruto is now rallying support for UDA ticket. And from what they were doing yesterday, speaking in a rally, DP Ruto and also Mathira MP Rigathi Gachagua, who's his running mate, they're saying that they need guys to vote on a 6-piece style, which means they vote for a UDA ticket from up top to all the way at the MCA level. However, the Farmers Party of Kenya, which is here headed by what is his name here? Nyakera, Mr. Nyakera, are saying that the supporters of the Farmers Party of Kenya, which has like I think 28 candidates who are eyeing major positions over in the central region, are saying that they are threatening to vote for the Azimio leader if this issue is not addressed, this issue of not allowing them to decide who to vote for in other elective positions. Of course, there is that need to have every single, according to DP Ruto's statement here, he's urging everyone to vote all the way from the president to the MCA and getting foot soldiers to ensure that the UDA party is popular over in the central region. However, over at the Azimio camp, Martha Karua is saying as well that central region is locked for the Azimio La Umoja. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'd also love to get them as we continue with the updates here. Over at the Interior Cabinet, the Interior Ministry, Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has urged business firms and the private sector to resist blackmail and extortion disguised as protection money by rogue politicians. The CS said intelligence agencies are aware that politicians are extorting donations from prominent businesses in exchange for alleged protection in the next government. He noted that the forced election campaign donations are illegal and are being used to subvert the electoral process by providing the money to bribe voters and hire crowds.
We are in the right place and we are ready. My brother will tell you about numbers and deployment and our constant engagement to ensure that we provide support and secure our country. And that's why I'm confident to tell you the number of even special units we have deployed within the city alone. We are ready to secure our country and we are safe. We are ready to support the IBC to manage the election.
All right. Also on that note, CS Matiang'i is assuring the private sector that their businesses will be safe even after the polls, and also urging international investors not to flee the country out of fear of violence or losses to their trade. The Nubian community has issued demands to the Kenyan government to be recognized as one of the Kenyan tribes. The community wants the relevant authorities to publicly announce the Nubian tribe, as is the case for other tribes in Kenya, insisting that the government should exercise equity and equality when it comes to giving directives on the communities which are living in Kenya.
The recognition of the Nubian community seems to have hit the rock. Their demands seems to not have been met since the issuance of Code 50 to the community by the Cabinet Secretary Interior Dr. Fred Matiang'i that serves as a registration code for the processing and issuance of national identification cards.
Hiyo code namba 50, yes, tunajua recognition kwanza code ndio inakuja. Na tunashukuru kwa kiasi fulani. Lakini chini yake utakuta ameandika registrar wa vetting atatoa guidelines. Guidelines have been issued to the Nairobi County Commissioner. Hapa tunazungumza masala ya jamii ya Nubi katika taifa la Kenya.
As a community, we are worried that this is a political move to uplift the spirit of the community during the election period and then the steps fed after elections. Taking us back to square one, there's a challenge of accountability when such proceedings amount to hearsay because of lack of transparency, and often the proceedings get swept under the rug and the community forced to begin tabling its demands afresh.
The executive director of the Nubian Rights Forum, Shafi Ali Hussein, is against the declaration that all Nubians should be vetted for them to be provided with national identification cards, despite being issued a code that should identify them as a tribe in Kenya.
Vetting ambayo regulation ama how do you call it, guidelines ambayo inakuwa issued kwa county commissioner wa Nairobi is totally unaccepted.
The community is against public participation on the Huduma number currently taking place at the parliament buildings, claiming that without the national identification card, the Huduma number is of no use.
Huduma namba badala ya kusaidia Wakenya sasa ndio itakandamiza waliokandamizwa kushinda vile walivyokandamizwa. So wanalete sahi public participation in parliament. Wakenya wangapi wata access parliament? Wangapi?
The paralegal pointed out the Nubian Code 43 that was issued by the then Minister of State for Planning, National Development and Vision 2030, Wycliffe Oparanya, which in itself did not materialize.
The similarities that make us worried as a community is the level of secrecy in the issuance of the report, the lack of involvement of the public, and the blatant discrimination in the proceedings in comparison to communities that have been issued codes.
The Nubian community are demanding for recognition as one of the tribes in Kenya. Their frustrations are being echoed to relevant authorities as to why can't they get government services in a country they have lived all their life. Anodida, KUTV, Kibera.
That story by Ann Odida brings us to the conclusion this morning on the updates that we can make to you. However, do grab yourself a copy of all the dailies that has all the updates from yesterday night and also from this morning. Much more is happening. I think maybe I should highlight one or two things. Over in the Senate race that is happening in Nakuru, petitioners want Keroche boss out of the Senate race over tax evasion, claiming that since 2006, the Keroche boss, Mrs. Karanja, has been evading tax and accused of crimes related to tax evasion. So they're trying to lock her out of that, and the petitioners, of course, are saying this is amounting to 14 billion Kenyan shillings in tax offences. Read that story on the 12th page of the Daily Nation, of the Standard. Museveni's first son, Muhoozi, is showing clear signs of a succession plan to his father, who's been in power for 36 years. President Yoweri Museveni has been at the helm of the presidency of Uganda for 36 years, and his son, who's Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, a former commander of the Uganda Land Forces, and also the new Uganda Chief of Defense Forces since 2017. So looks like he might be the one going to rise to power. However, you can read the whole story for yourself here on page 13 and tell us what you think. One last thing that you need to think about is Azimio and Sauti Sol. Right? There's a copyright dispute. Which of the two agencies is telling the truth? Sauti Sol are saying they were not, of course, informed of anything to do with Azimio La Umoja getting a copyright from MCSK to use their music, which is Extravaganza, for a campaign or for the unveiling of Martha Karua as the running mate of Raila Amolo Odinga. That story is still ongoing. Sauti Sol, of course, having taken this matter to the law or to the corridors of justice. We'll be following up on that. Read it on the Reader's Corner, page 17 of the Standard. Lastly, there are 40 independent presidential aspirants in these elections, 14 political party presidential aspirants, and one coalition presidential aspirant, who's Raila Amolo Odinga. So 55 total of presidential aspirants in this year's elections. Don't say you didn't have a choice on who to vote for the upcoming general elections. Think about it and read the dailies. However, we're coming back, of course, with much more. We Don't Have Time, an organization that is focused on matters of the environment, climate change, and all of that. How can we turn it around in the little time that we have? We don't have time, but we have a little that we can do to salvage the situation of the effects, of the adverse effects of climate change. After that, of course, as I said earlier on, the big show, the big conversation we're having this morning is the spokesperson of the government of Kenya, retired Colonel Cyrus Oguna, MBS. Of course, you'll be joining me here as well. Make sure you're sending me your questions. If you're a youth out there, government development agenda and the youth, where do we intersect? Tunachania wapi? What would you like the government to do for you better? Ensure you're giving me that at KUTV Kenya, at Richard_Okenya, hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Narudi, don't go too far.
Je, ni jawabu gani ambalo kwamba aliwapatia? Mtume ambia, awala adullukum ala shay'in idha fa'altumuhu tahabbabtum. Hela siwajulishi jambo ambalo kwamba mkilifanya nyinyi, mkilikamata nyinyi, mtapendana. Mtume akaambia, afshu salama bainakum, enezeni amani kati yenu. Angalia, yani maswahaba walidhania wataambiwa mambo makubwa, walidhania wataambiwa jambo ambalo kwamba ni labda la faradhi.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know, while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits, the road ahead is clear before overtaking, stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking, you're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Speaking of change, what is your policy as an independent candidate?
Well, I believe that we deserve more than we get. We need to vote so that we can pick between the wrong leaders and the right leaders. And most of the time, politicians don't make a change in the country, but leaders do.
What is pushing you to vie for this particular seat?
To make this impact in the youth, that we will have a change in the infrastructure of the town, we have a change in how things are administered, from bursaries to everything.
Yeah, because it's always sweet when they are fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're advising event planners to make this as the last.
Yeah, you're going to go to weddings and you're going to be served a fruit dessert and you, no, I can't take this. The reason is it was made 2-3 hours before. Yeah, so the fruits have already become stale. Yes.
Siku hiyo yenye furaha ajabu, machungu yote yatakwisha, mambo yote yatakuwa ni mapya. Tukutane paradiso, tukutane enzini mbinguni, baada ya dhiki za hapa ulimwenguni tukutane.
Safina inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Hivi sasa ni saa 2 Ijumaa usiku badala ya saa 3 kamili juu ya alama, due to public demand. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
Tunatamani kufika pale, mji mzuri ajabu wapendeza, hakuna mfano wa mazuri yajayo, jitahidi ufike mbinguni juu. Siku yaja tutasahau yale yote yanayotuhuzunisha, tumeahidiwa na Mungu.
Welcome back to Biashara Tuesday here on KUTV Rise Today. Of course, remember to always send us feedback all over social media platforms. And I am taking a look at that. And naona pale already guys who are tuned in to the show. Ojong Mariam anasema looking forward to the conversation we're going to have here with the spokesperson of the GOK, retired Colonel Cyrus Oguna atakuwa hapa hivi, so keep sending in your questions, and on Twitter as well guys who are tuning in. Ototo Ndege from the University of Nairobi. Daktari, habari yako kwako. Thank you for tuning in to the show, and also do spread the word and tell us who you want to tune in to this. I'm sitting here on set with the guys who are telling me that we don't have time, or however I know it's 7:46 and we do have time, but for them it matters of the environment. We Don't Have Time is the largest climate review platform that gives climate awareness. So we're going to get that climate awareness right about now, and I'm sitting down with the director, Mr. Patrick Kiarie, and Sheila Nduta, who is the field officer over there at We Don't Have Time. They have a lot that is coming up, so tune in, give me any questions that you have. Najua watu kama Dennis ambao wako focused Youth Green Society movement, mambo ya environment, really good efforts there. You should tune into this one, and maybe you can get to partner with these guys for some of the several efforts that they're undertaking. Follow them on social media. In the meantime, tag them and also tag us as well at We Don't Have Time KE as we continue with this conversation. Karibu guys.
Asante.
Thank you.
I think I'll begin with the lady.
Okay.
Hi Sheila.
Hi, how are you doing?
How are you?
I'm great.
Maybe off the cuff, how many people call you Sheila instead of
A lot, 1,000.
Right?
1,001.
Maybe we should walk around with an audio device.
It's Sheila.
Right?
Yeah.
Sheila. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you.
Field officer. What does a field officer do, first of all?
Basically what I do is create awareness, tell people about us, recruit people.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to recruit people over to We Don't Have Time?
Yeah, sure.
Field officer. Our director, Mr. Patrick.
Well, my name is Timothy.
You're Timothy.
Yes.
Right.
Our director is in absentia,
okay.
but he's well represented.
Okay.
So my name is Timothy.
Shout out to the director.
Yeah, my name is Timothy Ndegwa, and I'm the partnership manager for We Don't Have Time Kenya chapter.
Partnership manager.
Yeah.
What does a partnership manager do?
Well, we work with like-minded organizations in trying to, meet the SDG number 17 that calls for partnerships, so as we can be able to realize sustainable goals. So we try to engage with like-minded organizations in trying to see how we can, come up with sustainable policies.
Right.
Yeah.
SDGs, of course.
Yeah.
And climate awareness is SDG. It's 12, Amma? probably that. Let me be checking that in the meantime. However, we don't have time. Let me start with you. Why is it we don't have time? Why is it that negative?
Yes, we are saying we don't have time because it's as a result of what is happening in the recent times, whereby there's a lot that is happening as far as climate change is concerned, whereby we are experiencing change in weather patterns. Right now it's very hard to predict weather patterns, and also things to do with the increased sea levels, and all this has been as a result of human activity.
Right.
So that's why we are saying that we really don't have time to wait and see as things get from bad to us. It's time for humanity to act and try to remedy the effects of climate change, because humanity is on the verge of extinction. So it's high time for us to act.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sheila, is the situation that dire? We really don't have time.
We really don't have time. We act as soon as yesterday. Yeah.
How is that now that you've been out in the field trying to recruit people to we don't have time? Are they agreeing we really don't, or no one cares, or not many people care?
Well, people are a bit ignorant, but we are trying to change that. We are working on it. We try to create awareness as much as possible. I would say so far so good. Yeah.
You're saying everyone can and should be involved in this climate crisis solution.
Everyone should be. Yeah.
How can we be involved? Maybe the various ways in which people who are watching us can take part as we begin this conversation.
We are in every social media. But the best platform to be is We Don't Have Time. We have an app on Play Store. You can find it on Play Store. Google app, you just have to type We Don't Have Time, download the app, and be part of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big team.
Yeah, it is. It is. We have over 65,000 users at the moment. Yeah.
Over 2,000?
65,000 users.
65,000.
Yeah, it's global. It's global.
All right.
Yeah.